Hello, and thank you so much for dropping by this video. After having been very rigorously and vigorously on the spiritual path for over 30 years, I'm shocked, pleasantly shocked and a little surprised to discover that after all my study, all my meditation, I actually didn't really understand what the whole path is about. And now I'm starting to feel that I do. And so the very short version is that there's something good out there and in here. And the whole purpose of the path is to connect to that and to be guided by that moment by moment. End of story. It's actually really quite simple. It's not always easy. Um, so what I've come to realize, and this is not a new or a personal revelation, is that in every moment, every word I speak, every action I do is guided. The question, and I believe this to be the same for everyone, and in essence, everything. The question is, what is it guided by? So I'm going to offer a couple different ways of looking at this. From a very religious point of view, moment by moment, we're guided by good or evil. Even I was raised Christian, and so in moment by moment, a Christian is guided by, or in the Christian view, one is guided by God and Christ or Satan. In a more spiritual point of view, you could say we're guided by higher self or God or ego. Joe Vitale, one of the law of attraction teachers who I have the most respect for out of all of them, um, said that moment by moment we're guided by inspiration or fear. I like to say inspiration or desperation, or inspiration or the past. Inspiration, being in the present moment, being inspired, or we're guided by tapes, thoughts, and memories from the past. I don't particularly care which system someone resonates with the most, but what I've realized is this is the absolute essence of the path, is to be connected, linked, joined with, in communion, in union with, again, there's depending on your spiritual or religious orientation, with God and Christ, with higher self, with inspiration. Personally, I just call it the good or the spirit of the universe, an all pervasive, loving, wise energy field that's both all around me and in me. And moment by moment, all I'm becoming interested in anymore is being in communion by that and being guided and led by that. And personally, I think that's why the entire Star Wars franchise has been so popular, is it puts forth a very straightforward. It's more like the story of really a very straightforward spiritual path. Connect to the Force and be guided by the Force. Now, okay, it's Star Wars, so mostly what the people are using the Force for are fighting, right? But in the first Star Wars movie, which now has ended up that it's the fourth Star Wars movie, but the first one that came out, Obi-Wan Kenobi said the Force. It's an energy field that surrounds us and penetrates us and guides the universe together, holds the universe together, binds the universe together. And in a later one, I can't remember that, as someone asked, does a Jedi control the Force? And the response was no. A Jedi is one who is guided by and moved by the Force. An instrument, in essence, becoming an instrument or a servant, one who serves and is guided by and moved and inspired by the Force. Now, this goes right back to Taoism, which is, I believe, one of the influences George Lucas drew from, the idea of the Tao, the way, this all-pervasive energy that is both the creator of everything and yet all around us, that we're swimming in it and being guided by it. And the way to be guided by it is to let go of ego, which ultimately is all these spiritual disciplines. If they're actual spiritual disciplines, they have one goal: to remove the blockages to being connected to it, whether you call it God, Christ, the Tao, the Force, the spirit of the universe, my current favorite, and to be guided by it. So, I wish you a day of tuning in, tapping in to the Force, the Tao, God, Christ, inspiration, and being guided by it, and being mindful of what, in moment by moment, and what am I guided by? Am I guided by fear or love? That's another popular way of looking at it. And for those who are into non-duality, what I need, a lot of people won't like this because people say, well, there's only one thing. The thing is that the version of non-duality we've gotten in the West has nothing to do with classical non-duality. It's a very watered down version. And traditionally, there's all sorts of preparatory practices that educate people about the very thing that I'm talking about. They just use slightly different words. They talk about qualities of mind, or the gunas. So before someone is introduced to non-duality, there's all sorts of preparation and actually very rigorous education in learning to discern between what's good and what's not good, what's helpful and what's not helpful. So thank you so much for dropping in, hopefully dropping in. And I would say, may the Force be with you, except the Force is with you. It's all around you and it's inside of you. That's my direct experience, and I don't think I'm I'm still just a Padawan learner. And so not may the Force, so yes, the Force will be with you always, and may you tap into it, tune into it. Take care. Much love.